You're listening to In Touch with Terri, brought to you by the Inbound Podcasting Network and Terri Ross Consulting, expert management consulting and sales training to help your aesthetic practice thrive.
My purpose is not to scare everyone. My purpose is to educate what's going on in the industry. We need to all band together and say, hey, there's certain rules and ways in which we are going to govern ourselves. And we have to establish certain rules that we all follow. Because if we don't, a state's going to come along and they're going to dictate to us how we're going to govern ourselves, and then everyone's going to lose. I want them to have eyes wide open so they can spot the red flags and to know what's going on and educate them, and most importantly for them to right their ship, because as Alex says, and I completely agree with, look, the rising tide raises all boats, and if everyone is starting to meet the same standard and understand what to do, everyone is going to do well. There's just so many different businesses and opportunities out there right now with med spas and just the aesthetic space in general.
Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 2 of In Touch with Terri. I'm Tim Cicciarelli with Inbound Films and the Inbound Podcasting Network, and we want to thank you, Terri's Tribe, for joining us here once again. This episode was recorded at the booth of Terri Ross Consulting during the Medical Spa Show 2020 in Las Vegas, presented by AmSpa. Now, if you had a chance to listen to episode 1 of In Touch with Terri, you heard several attendees of the show who stopped by her booth to share with her the various areas they needed her assistance with in growing their practices. Now, at the Medical Spa Show 2020, you might remember we all heard over and over again that compliance is cool. Well, it's not only cool, it's necessary in this heavily regulated industry. That's why Terri invited Brad Adatto to join her here on episode 2 of In Touch with Terri. Brad is a partner at ByrdAdatto, a national business and healthcare law firm with offices in Dallas and Chicago, to discuss some of the do's and don'ts of the aesthetic industry.
Brad, thank you for being here with me.
Thanks for having me.
You've been here now for the entire show. You've had some great panels, some great sessions. Tell me a little bit about what you're seeing this year versus maybe some other shows. What are the attendees saying?
It's been amazing because obviously we do a lot of boot camps throughout the years, and obviously it's our third year with being here for the show, and to see it grow has been incredible. But I think finally what we're hearing from the attendees is how important compliance is in a particular practice. And a lot of people just don't realize that, hey, they want to get up, they want to go sell, they want to get themselves operational, and then something bad happens. The cosmetology board shows up, the nursing board or the medical board, and all of a sudden like, wait, what did I do wrong? Yeah. And so that's the part where they're hearing it for the first time, and so I often see someone in the hallway and they'll pull me aside and say, I had no idea that was an issue, and thank you, or I feel like everyone here is illegal, and I'm like, no, not everyone's illegal, and there are those little pieces that you might have to learn to kind of fine tune things. But it's been really great having chances to, number one, interact with so many people I've spoken with over the phone over the years that I've never met in person. Oh, yeah. Obviously, we just saw a mutual client of ours I've talked on the phone more than a dozen times, and we finally got to meet in person, which is always awesome. I also ran into a plastic surgeon that saw me speak twice at other conferences, but never spoke. I was speaking on the running of their businesses, and then he had no idea how non-compliant he was with his practice. And that just shows you, I think, the one thing a lot of these nurse practitioners or non-physicians say, well, it's so complicated, how was I supposed to know this? And my point to them is, even the plastic surgeons have been practicing 20 or 30 years, they might not even realize all the moving pieces that are out there. So it's just been fun in a good way, because I'm not here to scare the pants off people. I really do want them to get something out of it. I want them to have eyes wide open so they can spot the red flags and to know what's going on and educate them, and most importantly for them to right their ship, because as Alex says, and I completely agree with, look, the rising tide raises all boats, and if everyone is starting to meet the same standard and understand what to do, everyone is going to do well. There's just so many different businesses and opportunities out there right now with med spas and just the aesthetic space in general.
So you've mentioned the people not realizing that they're doing things not within compliance or illegally. Is there anything in particular that you find consistent with these practices?
Yeah, there's 3 major areas, and I'm not going to hit all 3 because one has to do with ownership, but that's so state-driven that, every single state's going to be different about who can own what. So I won't really concentrate on that. What I always call the med spa widowmaker is failure to conduct that good faith exam. And it's because the medical boards consistently tell us this when we go there, or nursing boards, look, if you're rendering a medical service, so you're doing Botox, you're doing fillers, you're firing off, some type of laser, and you're rendering a medical service, someone has to make a determination whether that person, that patient, is a great candidate for that service. And the only person who's qualified to do that is either going to be that physician, the physician assistant, or the nurse practitioner, depending on what state they're in and what other collaborative agreements they need. And it's eye-opening. I mean, I just finished talking to these lovely ladies from Missouri, and she's like, you don't understand. Everyone's, the RNs are doing this, or estheticians are doing this. I said, no, I do understand.
Right. That's what we see all the time. That's why you're in business.
Right.
Okay, so this came up to me yesterday, and I'm so curious your opinion. I didn't even think about it. 2 questions. What do you think about telemedicine? And the second question is, and was the question, this woman was using this company, and the NP was doing the good faith and made a diagnosis. But yet, when the RN went to go implement that plan, she was like, how can the person on the telemedicine thing, without touching and feeling, make that determination of the treatment plan?
So it's a great question. So first off, unfortunately, there's no national standard for telemedicine. Again, it's state-driven, so every single state's going to be a little bit different what you can and can't do as far as through telemedicine. A lot of states are starting to build certain standards, and like Texas just adopted pretty good standards. Other states, Florida, California, have very similar. So on the highest level, the first thing is act as if the physician or nurse practitioner or PA was in the room. What would they need to do to determine what to do with that particular service? Meaning, if I was in the room, I would have to have touched that part of the body to diagnose and come up with treatment. Or I'd have to view that armpit or leg or blemish or whatever it is, or I want to look closer at the eyes that's where I want to inject. Whatever you would have needed to do that, that's what a lot of the medical boards are telling us. Look, you need to follow that same standard of care as if you were in that same room. And there's other patient consents and other things I won't bore you with, but that's the main crutch, is that you can't do it via email. You can't do it doing text. You can't do it doing low, using some old-fashioned, it's funny when you read these laws, it's like, I texted on it, or I spoke on the phone about it. I'm like, no. Okay. You can't make those type of diagnoses. And so we say, look, you need to use a high-definition camera. Guess what? Every single iPhone and iPad has a high-definition camera, so it's not like that's that complicated. Use it so it's secure. So most things are, whatever. There are a lot of different apps that are out there. But going back to your question, if you believe the only way that you can actually think that type of treatment is needed and in the diagnosis that you would have to touch the skin, you can't do that via telemedicine because you're outside the standard of care. And it's hard because a lot of these entrepreneurs or nurse practitioners or RNs that could not make that diagnosis, normally it's the RN or a non-physician, and they want to use the ease of technology, which is so at our fingertips with our phones and iPads and whatnot. But if you're falling outside that standard of care, you're exposing yourself, your business, and that physician.
So I kind of want to just repeat what Brad is saying, because what I hear you saying, where I think people are still going to be then uncompliant and not really following the law, is that I think that these plans via the telemedicine are still being implemented even if it's the wrong plan.
Correct. And so that goes back to the exposure. Obviously, that Houston arrest was via telemedicine, and that's I call them outliers, right? There are going to be these weird outliers. So again, my purpose is not to scare everyone. My purpose is to educate what's going on in the industry. And I say it's an outlier because I didn't see when they arrested that LVN and that physician, I didn't see an uptick. If it's an uptick, it becomes the standard, right? Yeah. But those are kind of things typically at a medical board. If you were the physician, so I use the concept of, if you had to go in front of a medical board and explain to them why via telemedicine you made that ruling, and they're going to say, well, typically a physician's to make that decision and that diagnosis, they would have had to touch the skin. You're outside the standard of care. You better have a good explanation about how you were able to get enough information from the video to do that. And maybe they're, I've had some people say, well, I have all these protocols and I have an RN doing it. And okay, great. if you believe that you're within that standard of care, great. But make sure you feel like you can defend yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Anything else that you think was kind of really vital at this show, or anything else that you're seeing, and how has it affected the firm and the growth in terms of where you guys are, continuing to develop new protocols, and how do you see the laws changing?
Yeah. Well, first off, from the show wise, it's been great. We have a great team out here. We have a lot of our attorneys that are here, and so we're kind of all over the place. I have 2 people moderating a speech as we speak, so I'm here.
Awesome.
Normally I would be in there. We've been meeting with clients for the last 2 days, so a lot of interaction with our clients, and then most importantly, everyone can see that we have these incredibly brilliant attorneys. And I say that as someone who some advice I got a long time ago is hire people that are smarter than you. So as I always say, I'm about as dumb as I was the day I was born, but I have a lot more knowledge behind that after 21 years of practicing. But I have found some really intelligent, hardworking attorneys who understand in this space that we're in, you have to be an excellent business and healthcare attorney. And you need both of those to be able to advise people. And so the great thing, I'm so happy and pleased, is that there's so many clients here that are getting to meet these people that spoke on the phone. Kind of like Sam with our mutual client. They've talked on the phone a dozen times and they finally get to meet in person. So that's been so neat for them to be at these shows and to see what's going on. And then the second thing is they see what's going on in the industry. So Michael, myself, Alex, Jay, a lot of us who go to a lot of these shows, we are constantly hearing what's going on and what's the big news or happening. Well, now I have my team members are getting to see it, and they're hearing things I didn't hear, like, oh, did you hear what so-and-so said? And, I'm like, no, I didn't even know about that. So I have more ears and hearing what's going on in the industry. So having that great team has been wonderful. And, as far as the firm goes, it's always fun to have those moments that you're recognized. It's good and bad because I was going to, I was in the men's room going number 1, if that helps. And this gentleman walked up and said, I really like your speech, and started asking me questions.
You wanted to shake your hand then and there?
Yeah, it was kind of one of like, it was awkward, but at the same time, I didn't know if he was complimenting me because of my speech. We'll just leave it there. But anyway,
or something else.
Everyone sees you everywhere, and that's the fun thing is that, okay, can I ask you a quick question? And I love being able to interact because a lot of times we do know the answer off the top of our head because this is an area that we know very well. So it's been fun to interact with people, and just there's just a lot of really good people at this show having fun.
Well, I think what's too great is you guys. I mean, I've been so fortunate to be part and collaborate with you guys for now a couple of years, and we always have that connotation about lawyers, right? Sticky and, stuffy and, and I think you guys are the antithesis. The firm is, like you said, really there to educate, give back, provide, so that the industry can really up-level itself. And I think that's what you guys bring to the table. Tell me a little bit more about Access Plus, because that launched this year. And I think that's such a great service for all of your, your clients. Tell me how that's been going for you.
It's been growing great. Access Plus is our membership programs, like any other type of membership, where you just subscribe to us and you get unlimited access to us via calls and telephone. And so we don't charge you by the hour like a typical firm, because what we wanted. We call it the 550 rule. You can pay an attorney $5 up front to do it correctly, or you're going to pay them $50 to fix it. Either way, you're going to be fixing it. When you're paying someone $50, they're very unhappy that you're fixing it. So we're like, if we truly believe in compliance, which I do, is I don't like going in front of the medical board or nursing board because if they had just called us, we could have directed them and said, no, you should have just done this, and it would have been an easy fix. I mean, we have constant open investigations, and it's just upsetting to us because it would have been such an easy thing. So Access Plus, the entire concept is we want to incentivize our clients to pick up the phone and call us and interact and engage with your attorney, and so that they have that ability to say, no, don't do that. Before it happens. And then, depending on your plan, we have different types of plans. You have the silver, gold, and platinum. And for some of our bigger clients, we have off menu. You have a whole bunch of different projects that come with that. So you can say, oh, we're thinking about doing this. Is that going to be a problem? Yeah, I would develop an employment agreement, a non-compete. That's a minor project. Let's get that going for you if you want to do it. Yeah, let's get going. Done. So that's the way we interact, and it's a different way. Now it actually launched. Basically, this is what you're referring to as we have Access Plus 2.0. We've kind of been fine-tuning it because most law firms don't know how to do this, and so we've been fine-tuning it over the years. And so with 2.0, when we relaunched it, as you were referencing, it was just, again, fine-tuning it so that our teams our members can get the most out of those plans. So we're real excited about it.
Good. Any other takeaways that you want to let the audience know from your perspective this year that really they can follow? I mean, I know we're always again hammering in that this industry really needs to just stay above board.
Yeah.
Do shit right. Have the right, providers doing the treatment so that everything can, you want patients to have good outcomes. But anything else you want to share?
Well, first off, I do like the fact that you did curse just now. We had a whole potty language discussion. For those that don't know, Terri likes to use the F-bomb as much as possible.
Just a little bit.
And so that's awesome. I've been able to roll it into a couple of my speeches. I like to shock and all them because attorneys aren't supposed to say fuck or shit
today,
or any of those other words. So
this guy came up to me and he literally just said, you had me when you said fuck. Almost like you had me when you had me at hello.
What works?
I love you too.
Yeah. Hey, this is me. And I already forgot what the question was.
Okay, well, so just any last comments, for the listeners to hear that you want to resonate this message. If you could give away, 2 pearls.
I would say number one is don't be afraid that actually one of those persons after one of my speeches like, what you just said is I can't do anything. And I said, no, you can do whatever you want, right? You just want to do it in a way in which you slowly, it's like eating, so some people say eating elephant or eating a whale, right? Mm-hmm. You just got to take one bite at a time. Don't try to, go
make it all right.
Make it all once. And so look, there is, which I love about this place is, right now behind us, we have a business section going, we have a clinical section going, we have a legal section going. We have all these different organizations that are here to help educate people. And because of that, there's so much to take in. And so, for someone who this is their first show, it's going to be overwhelming.
Yeah.
But then you have to start slowly breaking down, okay, what is the first thing I want to do? Well, the first thing I want to do is I want to make money, but I don't want to go to jail. Or I want to make money, and I got to figure out, how do I bring Terri in? Or how do I bring Crystal Clear? Or how do I bring in ByrdAdatto? And figure out how you surround yourself with the people that make sense to you. Mm-hmm. Look, I'd love to say that every single person in this place would hire me, but I'm realistic. Everyone has relationships with their attorneys, or they don't know how to work with attorneys. Then I'm not a good fit for you. And that's our firm is about, again, that engagement with the particular clients. But no matter what, whether or not they engage us, I want them to be actively engaging a legal service because, again...
I want to ask you something about that, though. And I know you probably have to wrap up because you got to go give a talk and, make sure you get some swear words in there.
Yeah.
But, I refer everybody to you just because you guys are obviously the experts in the medical spa plastic surgery space, right? Do you have any thoughts on just people retaining, a law firm that might do real estate that might not know anything about medical? Like, what do you feel about that?
So, look, the one thing I know is I know what I know, and I know what I don't know, and that it sounds funny, but there are certain things I'm really damn good at, and I know it. But if someone comes to me and says, "Hey, Brad, I want to put together this offshore trust," I'm not even going to try to pretend like I could figure it out. I'm like, "Oh, right. You need to go talk to Bob, or you need to go talk to Dave, or hey, Brad, I have this litigation matter." So first off, if your buddy's a real estate attorney or even a tax attorney, that doesn't mean they actually understand this. And I've been blessed over the years to be hired by other healthcare firms to help in this area because it's so unique and so different. So even if you are looking to get another healthcare attorney, make sure they understand the aesthetics. It's so unique. I mean, I had a speech on this with a group, and when I started talking about the 5 most unique things about plastic surgery contracts, there are people who came up to me afterwards and said, my attorney didn't know about any of those things.
So listeners, I want that to resonate with you because I often get asked, right, by my clients who, if they need you, I refer them to you. And if they come back and say, God, they were too expensive, or my attorney can give me that. I want you guys to hear that. Just because you have another lawyer, if they don't know the industry, I just want to caution you that they might not be able to give you the right advice.
Yeah, and I would never say that we're cheap, but we are very happy what we charge for, and we believe it's the right pricing because we know that we know where our stage is. And I think the last takeaway, I definitely you had said something earlier, and I finally resonated, is one of the most exciting things I think is about to happen is the new practice guidelines that ANSPA's been working on. I've been lucky enough that to work with them on the big, going back to what Alex opened the entire. At 8 o'clock yesterday, Alex said, look, we as an industry, we need to all band together and say, hey, there's certain rules and ways in which we are going to govern ourselves. Because if we don't, a state's going to come along and they're going to dictate to us how we're going to govern ourselves, and then everyone's going to lose. And so I was talking with a client about this a few minutes ago. we were hoping to release it while we're at the show. Unfortunately, blame it on the attorneys. I was redlining the document on the flight here. But I'm really, really excited about this document because it's a lot of hard work that ANSPA's putting together, ByrdAdatto's putting together, of trying to say, look, this is not going to be a perfect document in the sense it's going to tell you how to operate legally in your state, but it's going to say these are the standards we expect you to follow. And if you do this and you follow these standards, you're going to be close as you can to know that as an industry, we're going to be in a good spot as an industry. Again, every state's going to be a little bit different, and so work with your healthcare attorney on your state, but understand that as soon as they release that, if you're an AMSPA member,
who
go
gets
get it. Go get it, because I think once people start reading it and really thinking about it's about 8 pages. It might be almost 9 with my comments, but at the end of the day, it is so. I mean, Alex and Patrick and Kathy and everyone over at ANSPA worked their tails off, and obviously different partners at ByrdAdatto, and I'm super proud of this. ANSPA should be super proud of it, and I'm hoping all the members realize what a gift this is, that ANSPA is smart enough to say, no, look, if we're going to be leaders in this industry, we being all of us, not ANSPA, we have to govern ourselves, and we have to establish certain rules that we all follow. And that, if there's any takeaway I would say from this show, that will probably be the best thing I can give everyone at the show that I'm most excited about.
Fantastic. Okay, so you guys go to AMSPA, sign up if you're not a member. Make sure you download that document. Brad, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
To have you on.
Yeah.
Look forward to more sessions with you.
Absolutely.
Special thanks to Brad Adatto with the ByrdAdatto Law Firm. We'll include links to their website in the episode notes. Terri also briefly mentioned the value of becoming a member of AMSPA, American Med Spa Association. You'll find a link to their website as well. As a matter of fact, our episode notes are loaded with links to resources that will help your practice thrive and not just survive, including a link that'll take you to Terri's Practice Foundational Elements online sales training course. It was filmed from her live sales training back in October of 2019. Now, this course gives you 24/7 access, there's no travel, and it is accessible to your entire team or staff. This course will include access to Terri's Tribe, a private Facebook group. You'll have workbooks, talk tracks, and key performance indicators, which alone is valued at $1,500. And you'll also get 13 critical components to a successful phone call. Plus, you'll receive special discounts on Terri's additional products, services, and live events. And as a bonus, you'll receive a complimentary introductory call with Terri herself and with her hand-selected industry experts in vital areas to enhance your practice. I am honored to be a part of Terri's team as a video marketing specialist, and I'd love an opportunity to speak with you regarding your website video and marketing needs. Now, coming up in the next couple of episodes, we'll be sharing some sample audio segments from Terri's online video sales training course, plus excerpts from some of Terri's talks during the Medical Spa Show 2020. So please don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode of In Touch with Terri. You can subscribe from whichever podcast platform you're enjoying the show from. For Terri Ross of Terri Ross Consulting, I'm Tim Cicciarelli with Inbound Films and the Inbound Podcasting Network.